All right, everybody, welcome back. My name's Andrew and you're watching the Kelley's Country Life. So today is going to be a quick update on electrical. I've had a bunch of people been asking. As y'all know, we were set up to have the inspector come out and kind of check most of our final electrical, everything we've been wiring up in the house, to see if we could get power to the house. As y'all have probably already seen in the video description, we had problems. All right, so we're just gonna jump right into it. I'm not gonna drag this out and hide the problem all the way at the end of a video. I hate when I see that. So let's just go ahead and talk about it. No, we did not get power. And there was some very unexpected reasons why. But we will talk toward the end of the video about some possible scenarios to where we can get power. All right, so the inspector showed up yesterday. I'm in here building these cabinets, recording this episode that hopefully y'all have already seen. And I catch him outside. He's going around, he's got a little meter or whatever he's got in his hand. He's poking, prodding, checking things. He's checking the sub panel. He comes inside, we talk for a minute. He checks the main panel in here, kind of doing his usual inspection. Then he hits me with the question that I was not expecting that changed everything. So he asked me, hey, your septic is done, right? I said, septic? Well, what does that have to do with electrical? I said, no, it's not done. It's gonna be a couple more months before I get that done. That's something that I had planned on not getting done till, right before the house is ready. He says, that's gonna be a problem. He said, the state actually requires that there's two main criterias that has to be met before we can turn power on to a house. One of them is you have to have an established, licensed, fully completed driveway. Well, we have that. We did that years ago. Paid $3,500 for that, went through a whole permitting process and got it established. That makes sense. 911 has to have an actual address, legal access to your property, should you turn on power and burn your house down. I totally understand that one. The septic threw me for a loop. He says, I cannot give you power until you have your septic complete. And then we got to talking, he got to looking around. He says, to be perfectly honest, when I give you power, it's really a 30-day grant and you can do some extensions on time, but not very long. He says, so you need to be toward final completion of your home to get the power turned on. I said, well, that's gonna be a little bit of a problem too, because I'm realistically a few months away. You still got all the porch to do, the wiring out there, the decking underneath siding on the house, flooring, vanities, plumbing, cabinets, the list goes on and on. So he's like, yeah, this, basically this isn't sounding like you're gonna get power. Totally not what I was expecting. I was more confident about this inspection than I was the rough end electrical. Now, as far as the electrical itself goes, passed, no problems. He told me panels look great, everything looks as it should. But I cannot get that power. Now, some of you are gonna say, hey, why don't you hurry up and rush and get your septic in? Well, here's the thing. A good friend of mine is gonna be doing my septic system. He's as busy as you can imagine, working 6 and 7 days a week, trying to get caught up on homes. He's way behind. I've told him, take your time, get to me whenever you can. No big deal. I didn't know this was gonna hold up power. But even if I were to rush him over here right now, get the septic in to get power, it still sounds like they're expecting the house to be complete within 30 days. That's not realistic for me right now. So, no, I did not get granted power, but he did give me a couple of options. All right, so we're gonna step outside even though it's freezing today, rained all day yesterday, and we'll talk about these options. So one of them was temporary power. And some of y'all are gonna be like, hey, I've been screaming it at you. I've seen y'all's comments saying, if you had temporary power, you wouldn't have this problem. Why do you not have temporary power? It's freezing. Let me get my jacket. I'll explain why we don't, but I will explain some options that we have here. Okay, that's better. By the way, stick with me on this video because we're actually gonna throw a little power to the house at the end of this video. Y'all wanna see it lit up and see some things working? I do. All right, so a lot of people have asked, why did I not do temporary power to my job site? That's the most common way builders build homes. They'll do what's called a temporary power pole. And guess what? I even have one right over here. So if you look right over here by my shop, this is a 100 amp temporary power pole. I put that in years ago when we first bought this property. Nothing was here, and we ran a pump and well off of it and our camper while I worked over here establishing the property. I disconnected it a long time ago. I actually need to get that up and sell it. So here's the thing about a temporary power pole. The wires hook up top and they go over to the transformer. So my power company will not put a temporary power pole very far away, because you can't have the wires drooped way down in the yard. Is not what they're looking for there. They're worried about something driving underneath, hanging on it, etc. So that pole has to stay about as close as it is. Well, that does me no good. I would have to run wires all the way across the yard to the job site. Well, I'm already doing that with extension cords, so it didn't really make sense to hook up a temporary power pole. The other thing is you have to put a meter in that. Then you have to pay a monthly meter fee, service fees, all kinds of money to the power company to have 2 meters out here and 2 services. Now, yes, a temporary power pole gets me 240 volts, not 120 across extension cords. Up until now, that has been no problem whatsoever. So I asked the inspector yesterday, I said, can I power the house up based off of what you've seen off of my generator? He says, yeah, your panels look good, everything looks good. There's no issue with that. Go ahead and put power to your house that way. He says, I can still also grant you temporary power. So we got to standing out here and looking. He said, you got 2 options. He says, you can hook that temporary power pole back up. And again, I explained to him, I don't want to pay another meter and monthly fee and all that other junk that comes along from the co-op. He says, or you've got 200 amp service at your shop right here. You can actually hook up 100 amp, 50 amp, 60 amp, whatever you want from a breaker in there. Run some of that ground rated burial cable across the yard over here and feed your panel and provide yourself temporary power. Now, I know some of y'all are probably thinking, whoa, just running wires across the yard? That is extremely common on job sites. Most people run from a temporary power pole over to a panel like that and power it up. And you got to keep in mind, I'm not out here mowing. It's winter time. I'll pay great attention to there's power around out here, but there's also extension cords run everywhere over here. 10 gauge extension cords, 12 gauge extension cords that stay plugged in constantly. It's the same concept. It's just a different voltage. So while I don't like the looks of this, this is an option to go ahead and get me 240 volt temporary power for the next few months. I can run HVAC, everything else I need to, lights, whatever I want, plug-in power tools work. I can get rid of these extension cords out here and just basically have one big extension cord. And then it's temporary. You remove it, you get it out of the way, and then get your final power pulled once you're complete. So I don't like the option, but I also don't like the house sitting here, getting humid, getting hot, getting cold, doing all of its things it's doing. I need to be able to run HVAC when these guys complete it, hopefully this week or next. I really need to get power. So now I've got the added expense of purchasing wire, more breakers, but I think that's the route I'm gonna do and just run a big extension cord across the yard instead of all these little ones right here. So it was a good news, bad news scenario. Bad news is it's gonna cost me more money to get power. The bad news is I got wires running across the yard, which I've already got anyways. The bad news is I don't get the correct power that I want over here, full amperage through the conduit, clean out of my way. But the good news is I did get an option for power that the inspector okayed. So all right, we've got the bad news out of the way there. It sucks, it is what it is. I was not expecting that at all. But I'm so thankful I got options, and I got the thumbs up too. Hey, look what I got out here today. Let's go ahead and power this house up via my generator. Check everything. Let's look at all these lights, see what the house looks like lit up, because, well, y'all have never seen that before. Y'all have watched me work in this dark old house for months and months and months. Let's check it out lit up. Finish this episode up. Now, I know. You're going to get on to me about this extension cord. I get it. So I purposely bought a heavy gauge generator, 50-foot extension cord. Why would I buy one so long? Because the shorter the cord, the better for not having voltage drop, amperage drop, things like that. Well, it's just for the reason you see. Now, say we had a hurricane coming, I can put my generator on the front porch out of all the blowing rain, and I also have a cover for this, by the way, and run my cord all the way out here, plug it in. So I can have this set up ready to go before an actual hurricane gets here and keep my generator out of the weather. But yes, that's a pretty long run. Won't be a problem for anything except probably trying to run my HVAC right here. So what I'm thinking about doing is getting a 5 or 6 foot cord, and I can put my generator out here if we're in situations where it's not pouring rain, anytime I want to fire this up and just have less voltage and amperage drop. see here, where will it hook up? There it is. So it's just an old twist lock plug. That'll keep it somewhat waterproof. Let's go fire this up and see what the house looks like lit up. All right, let's do this. Y'all aren't gonna be able to see in here. So, do our generator interlock, turn our generator breaker on, and now I can flip on all the breakers in the house. It won't be a problem doing that right now because, well, there's nothing major to power up in here. If I was in a power outage situation and the house is fully complete, I wouldn't turn on every single breaker. That generator is not big enough to do that. So, let's check this out. Ha ha ha. We have power. Now y'all can take a look at this. Here's our pantry. Let's go check out the kitchen here. There's that overhead sink light. Kitchen lights. Nice. Hall lights. I'll tell you what, those LEDs are bright. Check out the bathroom. There we go. And I also put a dimmer on that shower light. These LEDs have been dimming really well. I was worried about them not dimming good at all or flickering. I'm not seeing any of that, which I don't know how the camera's showing this. Some people say cameras don't show LED light well. Hopefully y'all are not seeing flickering. And I'm looking in the camera, I think I'm seeing flickering. Oh no, that may be bad for recording in the future. But there we go. Oh no, I'm seeing a horrible flickering, but it's the camera. It's not, you don't see that in person. I don't know how we're gonna record in the future with LED lights. Check that out. All right, now for probably the biggest change. The attic. Always dark and dingy. So I put a switch in right here as soon as you come up the ladder. Wow. Check that out. I can't believe 4 lights are making that much of a difference. It is so bright up here now. Awesome. Plenty of light to get up here and store things and see and dig through. And then last but not least, I went ahead and stuck a couple of lights up here in the loft. So if I'm up here doing some work, I got a little bit of lights ready to go. There we are. All right, so what did y'all think of that? First time seeing the house with power. By the way, I've then went and tested every single receptacle too, from outdoors to indoors with a plug-in lamp. They all powered up, we're good to go. So most of the electrical now is officially complete off my list. I've just got to run me some temporary power or use the generator, whatever I feel like using. And then the last of the electrical is way down the road doing fans and a few lights. That's pretty awesome to think about. So while this episode did not turn out how I was hoping, bummer. Hey, at least I was given a good option. I can still get power out here because I really, really, really want to run this HVAC over the next few months. If you're probably wondering why I didn't just run it today, it's not complete just yet. Thermostats are not in. They've got to come back and put grills in, and my dehumidifier is missing. They got the piping there to do that. It's already in stock. They'll be tying that in. So we're gonna have a final HVAC episode before long. Then we're gonna run it. I can heat the house, I can cool the house, and most importantly, I can get the humidity out of the house with the dehumidifier. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the episode. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.